Ready? And action. This project was all about trying to make a really ambitious film on a really low budget. All of the cast and crew were volunteers, working for love of filmmaking and also the love of Lord of the Rings. And it was a real labour of love to get it off the ground, considering our budget, which we spent on the shooting, was less than £3,000. Everything was done pretty much DIY. We really tried to push the digital technology as far as we could to bring Tolkien's world to life in this unofficial micro-budget film. We're going to show you quite a lot about how the film was made and introduce you to the main players involved. So we were completely inspired by Peter Jackson's trilogy, and I was looking back thinking, is there a part of this story that hasn't yet been told on screen? And I went back to the books, which I hadn't read for 4 or 5 years. And I was looking through the appendices, and I found the whole timeline written by Tolkien, which includes the story of how Gandalf and Aragorn set out to hunt for Gollum. And this takes 8 years in the books. It begins just before the Fellowship of the Ring, and at this stage Middle-earth is in a state of foreboding menace. They don't quite know how strong the enemy is in Mordor. Aragorn is a ranger of the north, a wild traveller. He doesn't really understand his destiny. On the first shoot, I put together a small crew of friends of about 10 people. It was good fun and it was quite easy to direct. But since then, the word about the project spread and we got more and more volunteers coming on board. 3, 2, 1, action! The biggest action scene of the entire film, and really the showpiece, is the big orc fight where Aragorn faces 16 orcs. We had to prepare a lot for this scene. The scene itself required a group of 45 people on set, so it was no easy task to organise, and we spent 4 days out in Epping Forest filming it.
How do you feel, Eddie?
Nervous, in the anticipation of a whole new fight scene they've clearly written and not informed me about.
Preparations for that scene began 4 or 5 months earlier, when all of the fighters, who are professional fight performers playing the orcs, came together and performed many training sessions with the fight directors Ruth Cooper Brown and Rachel Bowen-Williams. They put together a lot of the team, and they trained up Adrian and the rest of the crew with their sword work. And we did around 10 days intense training sessions where they choreographed the entire fight scene.
Okay, so today we are doing what's been my first stage of fight training for the Hunt for Gollum fan film. Today we are doing basic sword fighting techniques, the use of the parry movements and the cutting and the thrusting movements, and looking to integrate them into the sequence that we're filming tomorrow, which is where my character Aragorn meets a fellow ranger named Arathir, and they exchange a blow or two with the sword.
Your name and your purpose.
I'm a ranger of Arnor. I swear allegiance to the 7 stars and 7 stones.
And the one white tree. You're a long way from Arnor, Ranger. And you speak the password of the Dunedain, yet I know you not.
I'm Arathir, son of Argonathan, sent to gather news of the East.
Then we are kinsmen from afar. I am Strider. Working with Chris was brilliant. Yeah, he's an astute guy. He really knows the visual of what he wants. You know, he's very much behind the camera kind of guy. He really knows the shot that he wants, and he really gets that. You know, very precise about the movement and what he wants to see.
Can you flip it round all the way? There, because we can see it more there. Can you rotate it as Goblock's charging?
He knows the story very, very well. He knows the whole Middle-earth, Lord of the Rings mythology incredibly well. So he's there as a reference source anytime you need to ask a question.
Was it a ball cap then? It's a bowl cap. Oh, okay. So what we'll do is we'll slick your hair down just with water or whatever. Put your bowl cap on, glue that to your head and neck.
Right.
And that's just so that nothing gets underneath you, your hair's protected.
Okay.
And then we'll put KY jelly all over that.
I was wondering if you bought all this at one time, what they'd say when you went to the camp.
I know, yeah.
Bin liners, KY jelly,
Call the
petroleum
police.
jelly. This man's going to have a good time.
We've got some Nivea face cream, which we'll put all over your face and your shoulders and that.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll just get started. These are plaster bandage, same stuff that doctors use when they're trying to repair broken arms and broken limbs. We basically create a line with the mod rock all the way down, basically like splitting your head in half. Fill in the back, and then once that's done, then we move on to the front. Right, so what I'm going to do now is again go over with Vaseline over the edge that we've just created. And that way the front mould will not stick to the back. This is the alginate now. And this is going to give us enough working time to smooth it all over Gareth's face, avoiding the nose obviously. There's been little problems, you know, because it was such a rush. You know, some of the edges have looked a bit obvious, but we just touched that with latex and tissue, to be fair, so it blends out. The main problem really is because it's a whole head piece. It doesn't move as well as it would normally. So when they're opening their mouths and that and squinting and whatever, it starts to come away. So but that's just a case of touching up as you go along. Can't tell you how good it's been the last 2 days seeing basically it must have been what 15 orcs, you know, all trudging up and down, fighting and everything, and seeing all of them, you know, just doing their thing. The aim is to have, I think, 30 to 40 orcs.
What I feel the Hunt for Gollum and the crew, more specifically, have is quite unique because we know when to buckle down and get the shots we need, but we also know how to have a good laugh. Hi Ash. How are you doing?
Alright.
Why have you tucked your trousers into your socks?
When you're producing a film like this, you've got to be resourceful. So our lead actor's going to skin the rabbit, then we're gonna cook it, make a fire. Survival expert, I got him on board. He's going to make the fire.
Now you've got fire. Now what you do with that bit, with a knot in it, you transfer that to your fire, get your fire going. So it's like that now. Pull that out, stamp on the end of that, pull that back up, put it back in your belt, it's reusable. Yeah, easily, isn't it?
Again. Didn't do that in rehearsal.
Now, the big challenge with making a film like this on such a low budget is the huge effort which has to go into the art department. Costumes, props, prosthetics, makeup, hair. It's a big team effort, and the team which we got on board has been astounding.
What you doing, Gladys? I'm colouring orc wardrobe. Mouldy dark green, blacks, greys, ugly colours.
Hi, I'm Julianne Honeyminnell and I'm a co-producer on The Hunt for Gollum, and my area of responsibility is wardrobe, and I have a team of designers under me and they are doing a fantastic job. and as we speak they are meeting the orcs and measuring them up and making sure that the fight coordinators are happy with the way the costumes work, that they can roll and fall without hurting themselves.
Trying to get this fight to work in the wet with really big costumes, very slippy conditions. Yes, it's kind of a challenge, kind of fun, but we'll get there. Might be a bit slow motion, but we'll get there.
Great! Well done, guys. Okay, I think that's good for that.
Every costume has to look perfect and covered in mud to look authentic.
My favourite part.
The props have to be safe to fight with, so the orc swords were made out of wood but were painted to look like metal. A lot of dedication has gone into the art department. Makeup for the actors would normally take half an hour to an hour, and then the costume team would get to work starting to put these rangers into their costumes. It takes a good amount of time to make sure they look the part. Their props have to be attached, their swords and sword belts, bows and arrows, beards have to be attached to actors such as Aaron, who is playing Arathir.
What they haven't accounted for is every time I stick something in my mouth, I get a mouthful of beard as well. So not only does part of my beard disappear, but I'm eating.
So that was cool to see Aaron as a ranger, and really cool to see Gareth as Goblock. He throws himself into the part, and we had a cool fight sequence in it.
You've got this whole persona that you don't even have to build up, you're just an orc.
Gandalf as well, Pat, deserves a mention. Brilliant actor. Really enjoyed the scene, the atmosphere. That was actually the first time we'd done a scene indoors throughout the whole of the shoot. Two good actors, side by side.
The Rangers have doubled their watch as you instructed. Is it still safe?
Yes, for the time being. The enemy does not yet know that the ring has been found.
That is well.
The matter is more complicated. I have made a grave error. I overlooked something important, something dangerous. It concerns the former owner of the ring.
Gollum.
It's always a learning experience when you're working with another actor, particularly if he's got a strong style of his own, and Adrian does. He has a great face cinematically. It's got a stillness about it, a strength about it, and he knows how to use both his face and his voice with absolute minimal effort, but to convey an awful lot of power. And I learnt a good bit from that.
I think there was a long casting process that went on to try and find Gandalf, and they saw some good actors as well, I believe. And then, you know, when Pat comes rolling in, you know why they chose Pat, because his delivery and voice for Gandalf is exceptional.
I think Ian McKellen evidently said how physically tough it was to play Gandalf.
The makeup, the hair, beard and makeup for Gandalf, those girls did a fantastic job with that. The transformation was incredible.
Right, guys? Okay. Let's do this. Chris is camera ready? Yeah.
I hate you! I'm angry! And get my frustrations out! What are you doing here? We're roughing up the orc patches.
The chamois leather, yeah?
Yeah. To make it look really worn and used and...
Okay, you make it a big mess here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, he's kidding.
Please stop. Gladys loose with a saw.
Gladys is a riot. She's completely bonkers, and she's the kind of person you need to keep everyone happy and jolly.
Hey, don't litter my forest. Litter bugs.
As I'm sure you guys can appreciate. Right, Brian?
Yeah, I'm alright.
What are you doing?
I'm just getting the sound stuff ready for the shoot, which will
Cool.
be happening, I don't know, 5-10 minutes whenever the actors come over.
My name is Brian. I'm the responsible for fight training coordination, prosthetics coordination and makeup on Hunt for Gollum, as well as doing some technical stuff on shoots. We had the horse. It was like this horse that's why we actually went to Cheltenham, just because the horse was there. The scenes that we had with the horse were the guys walking through the forest. That's where we had our jib shot, and sort of a bit of dialogue, then sort of saying goodbye to each other, things like that. Then Aaron, who's Arthur, had to ride off on the horse.
I must return to my people.
So that was, obviously we had to give him a bit of training. Aaron was adamant that it had to be him who was on the horse. He wouldn't accept a double. So he, and I think he'd ridden maybe once or twice before, so he got on the horse, and he was like, after a bit of training with Anne, who owns the horse, she was teaching him how to ride. He was getting to canter, which was good. So he cantered off, which was a really nice shot. Focus pull onto Adrian, looks really terrific.
Oh, Christ.
What happened there, Aaron?
Okay, so I haven't been on a horse many times in my life, and I'm really up for it. So get on this horse, and off we go at a canter. And just as we got almost out of shot, all I knew is that all of a sudden Tara's head was way down low, and then she lifted her bum up basically, and all there was for me to do, she kind of helped me down, was to fall off and roll off, shoulder roll out, and then stand up quickly. But what I found out had happened is that her saddle had come loose, and it was riding up her neck, and so she was trying to get it out, get it off her basically. So that included me.
The hunt for Gollum obviously involves a hell of a lot of visual effects shots and a hell of a lot of people making them, and all doing it for the love.
Due to the number of visual effects shots and the scope of the shots, we have compositors, matte painters, some brilliant riggers and modelers. We have guys who are very specialised in fluid dynamics and animation like that.
I'm Mark Pinero, and I'm working with my company, the Sex Pixels, collaborating with some trainees from Escape Studios, and we're working on 2 sequences from the short film Hunt for Gollum. The first sequence would be the orcs who have congregated into the forest, and there are some latex masks that they've been dressed in, and our job is to remove some of the wrinkles that have been caused by the movement of the head around the cheeks and neck area on the masks. For the next scene, we're pretty much supporting rotoscoping needs for the matte paintings. So we've got approximately 13, 14 shots, and roughly the same number for the latex rig removals. So all in all, about 30 shots.
So every time you see the ring in The Hunt for Gollum, it is a fully CG scene. One of the shots I'm working on right now is the ring sitting on a table in Bag End, and that has been a really difficult shot to pull off because the camera starts off quite close to the ring's surface, and so the ring had to be designed so it would hold up very close up to the camera. Because of all the natural light in it, it needed to react to the actual metal of the ring needs to look right, and the light bouncing off the ring needs to behave correctly. makes the post-production phase of the film so unique is the one phase of the film where we can pull in talent from all around the world. We have 50-odd artists on board. We have guys and girls from as far as India, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, France, Germany.
To do the music for this film, we had a template, really, which was the incredible scores composed by Howard Shore for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So really it was a case of watching a scene and thinking, well, what would Howard Shore do?
So we wanted to keep The Hunt for Gollum in the same sort of, I guess you'd say, atmosphere, same environment that Howard Shore had set up. So that meant using a lot of the same orchestration, particularly French horn chords, which Howard Shore seems to like. We used a few of the same themes, but not in full. We switched around like Aragorn's theme in places, and since I was doing the music for Gollum throughout the film, I took parts of the Gollum theme from the original 3 films, but then developed them so that they fit a little bit more in the context of this film, which takes place prior to the events in The Lord of the Rings.
So the Black Rider scene is probably the most intense scene in the film. It's where the film peaks in terms of just sheer kind of nail-biting tension, and you know, it's a scene where Aragorn is really in danger, in jeopardy. The sound design at this point helped enormously sort of create this mood of fear, kind of brooding nighttime atmosphere. So I knew that I would need to use the choir and have intense orchestral textures underneath, just really to convey the scope and the size of this scene, and also of the importance of this moment in the film.
It's coming. It's here.
The final rider scene at the end of the film, one of the sound designers, Marco, has done a terrific job to create the sound of the rider, of the Dark Knight, fighting at the end. And that's just a terrific scene where you can really see what sound design can achieve, the way they've blended the music with the sound design of his screams.
The scream is basically a mix of animal sound, basically.
There's about 7 or 8 of us in the sound department doing different parts. Some doing Foley, some doing sound design. And it's been really good to work with all these great and talented sound designers around the world. We've had people from different parts of the world doing different scenes, sending their files in, people doing ADR, people doing complete sound design or Foley. And then we've been getting those files into the studio, into our final master session, and mixing all that together. It's been amazing the work some of the people have done and the amount of hours they spent dedicating their time to this film, which is just what The Hunt for Gollum is all about, because it's a fan film and made by fans for fans.
And this movie is very much about providing young people a chance in film. So it's fantastic that we can now, because of the nature of the film, we can have a platform where everybody's skill and ability can be recognised on the world stage. And some of these people really deserve it because the producers, the makeup, the props, costumes, you know, everything that's been involved, the CGI, has really been of the highest standard.